D0.
That bit.
Sort of strangest one was an observatory in Swansea.
There are people who have failed to get round the planning system. Ed Sheeran with his lake, where he tried to hide it behind bales of hay.
Welcome back, dear listener, to the latest Trades of the Roundtable podcast. In our first episode, myself, Tony and Fazinho Ahulihan McGinty McPherson gave you an insight into our beginnings in the construction industry. If you missed it, you can listen again on your preferred podcast provider, or you can watch it on YouTube. Just search Build with A&E and you will find our smiley faces. Come to think of it, I've been told I've got a face for radio, so you might want to just listen to it rather than watch it, but I'll leave that down to you. Anyway, enough with the past, and let's look at the future and what they may bring for you if you are planning some building work. Whether you are making some home improvements, giving your exterior walls a facelift, building an extension or a whole new house, you may well need one of today's guests. Firstly, we have a man who has been responsible for the design of many breathtaking homes, including new builds, extensions and complete remodels, helping rid the world of ugly homes one build at a time. It's Dan Ricketts from Ricketts Architects.
Hello.
Hello, welcome along. Secondly, and also from Ricketts Architects, we have a man who helps to ensure that building work which requires planning is sympathetic to existing structures and maintains a balanced environment for its surroundings, as well as making sure your annoying neighbour doesn't block your beautiful view with an eye-watering monstrosity. Welcome to the show, Charles Robinson.
Hello.
Welcome along. And last, but by no means least, if you're planning to remodel your home and give its exterior a facelift, then you should definitely consider Hardieplank. They're a versatile, low-maintenance weatherboard with a fantastically natural texture. You may well have heard of Hardie homes in Australia. Now they're taking the UK by storm and protecting houses from them. Good morning to Simon Buckmaster, the technical manager at James Hardie.
Hello.
Hello, welcome along. The first step when embarking on a building project is to consider the design, and this means engaging with an architect. Dan, have you got any advice on how our audience should go about this?
Yeah, plenty. The most crucial thing when employing architects is picking somebody who is you're comfortable with and who you believe you can share the experience with, and you have some trust in. Obviously, by recommendation, personal recommendation is often the best. Use the RIBA, the Royal Institute of British Architects. They have a very well managed system of recommending chartered practices throughout the UK, and then look at websites, because design is many things to many people. So you may be wanting a specific style or to push a specific aspect of the design, and you need to work with somebody who is familiar with that and can broaden your experience and bring something extra. And that's what architects do.
So do your research and find somebody that you can get a good rapport with and that's got the same vision as you.
Yes.
Yeah, you find that quite an easy thing to do, share people's visions?
Yeah, after 25 years, yes. It took about 15 years, but yeah, it's a particular skill. But getting on with people is the most important thing, because architecture is not just about designing buildings, it's about solving problems. So you have to be very conscious of people's particular needs and what problems that brings and what challenges that brings and how you're going to address them. It isn't just always about producing a eye-wateringly good design.
No, there's always things you've got to get past, isn't there, to get to the end goal, really. Yeah. And one of those things you need to get past is obviously planning issues. Charles, are there any major planning issues that people should think about when thinking of starting a project?
Yes, I think so. I mean, first and foremost, as Dan was saying, it's a people industry. Mm-hmm. And I think you've got to realise that the arbiter of your planning application is actually going to be a planner. And I'm not a designer, that's Dan. And planners aren't designers, but unfortunately they make the decision in the local authority. Right. So talk to them. But also you've got to contextualise, which really is going back to what Dan was saying, contextualise what you're looking to do to make sure that it is, you justify what you're trying to achieve. So many times people have fail because they failed to do that. And you've got to realise that I go back to the planner who makes the decision is probably going to go for the more beige option. And that's not to say you should be, and this is where Dan, the planners and architects
I can do
working
beige.
but planners and because we don't want beige.
No.
Design codes are going to come in, and design guides are going to become more prevalent. So design context is going to be more and more important. But to avoid wasting time, you've got to realise that the arbiter is going to be a non-professional. So talk to them. And I'm not just saying this to say use Ricketts. You do need to use an architect.
Yeah, definitely. I've come across a few people that have tried to do stuff on their own. It doesn't always work, does it?
It's worth labouring that point that the push through legislation from central government down to local authorities is to very much exercise a greater deal of control over design, because they perceive that's a way of producing vibrant and sustainable communities. They might be a little bit misguided, but what you will need is a team who know how to leverage that advice to deliver what you want to deliver, rather than just slavishly copying word for word what the design guides say. Because you have to, if you want to do something, if you want to push forward, if you take strides forward in design and house building and reflect how people live, it has to move. Every style throughout history has moved. And design guides, if you're not careful, can actually sterilise that growth and advance.
And just get stuck in a rut and just keep sticking to the same stuff over and over.
Reproducing the same stuff.
Yeah, which we don't want, do we?
No.
You want the individuality. That's the whole reason. Well, one of the reasons why people redesign their homes, isn't it? Yeah.
So, and coming forward, we've got COP26 at the end of this year. Climate is not going to go away.
No.
It's tautology. It's clearly not going to go away. And it's going to become more and more important. So, going forward, we're going to have to look at biodiversity, even on a single plot. Biodiversity, energy efficiency, how you use energy, are all going to be important. Which again feeds into what you're doing in terms of the cladding.
Yeah, of course, and it enables you to be able to put more insulation into a building. It works better. It's also, like you said, about the design side of it. Not building the same things over and over again. The UK, we build with bricks. Let's look at different ways that we can make different constructions look different. The last thing you want to do is walk into a housing estate and not work out which one's your own home. It's that kind
so
of...
many housing estates are beige. They are seriously beige.
Very, very much so. You have to get a different front door just to make sure you know which one's yours. It's that kind of thing.
So with more and more people looking to renovate or extend their homes instead of moving, there has been a huge trend in exterior makeovers, and one of the advantages of this is that a homeowner can create a home which isn't only individual, like we've said, but it also reflects on the personalities of the family living there, and this is where James Hardy's Hardieplank comes in. Simon, can you tell us a little bit more about your product, the Hardieplank VL?
Yeah, of course I can. So James Hardy are the world leaders in manufacturing fibre cement. This is a type of cladding product. Has benefits over timber, PVC, these kind of claddings that we see sort of quite regularly in the UK. One of the main reasons is that the way that it's manufactured, it won't rot. It's got a 15-year warranty. We've got all different colours and cedar texture or smooth texture, so you can really design a house and make it look individual.
Yeah.
You can install it vertically, horizontally. We do a design where it's hit and miss as well. So there's all these different things, and really it's the durability and the fact that it meets the current fire regulations as well, which is obviously very prominent to everybody.
Yeah.
It's turning around the way that we currently construct. And I mentioned before about the bricks, and obviously we do build with bricks, but it means that you can get some more sort of personality and more design into the constructions that we're doing.
It is a really nice looking product. We've actually got some on the
Yes.
wall behind
I
us.
noticed that behind us. It's
hung
fantastic.
vertically as well, like you say.
Yeah.
So it's made from fibre cement.
So fibre cement is Portland cement. It's a mixture of sand and cellulose fibre.
Mm-hmm.
There is a bit of a magic mix in there, the old KFC
trade secret
parts of it. So that's manufactured in the US. and Australia. We've been going for a number of years. James Hardie as a business is over 100 years old.
Yeah,
so
everybody's heard of Hardie backer board, haven't they?
Exactly, yeah. So we have the Hardie backer board, we have the interior products, we have the exterior cladding products, obviously we're talking about today. Yeah, it's very, very sort of prominent in that side of the market, really.
Yeah, and it's really durable, low maintenance.
Yeah, low maintenance. So 15-year warranty. You won't have to recoat it or paint it, unlike timber. So anybody's seen the sort of the timber cladding that went up in the sort of the early 2000s. That kind of thing. Everyone's having to go out and repaint your house. I personally wouldn't fancy doing that myself.
No. Doesn't appeal to me.
No. And the other thing is the fact that you, like I mentioned before, you can get more insulation into the construction. You've got the cavity in there, so it means that you can build up a more sustainable house. In that regard.
So if you're going onto old walls that aren't cavity walls, you can externally insulate them, can't you, and cover it over?
Yeah, we get people that are using our products for new build constructions, but then an awful lot of renovations. We also get a lot of people that are building extensions at the minute, or home offices. Home offices are a massive thing that people are looking at, because we're all having to work remotely. So it's a really sort of diverse range that we get involved in.
Yeah, sounds good.
And we go from commercial businesses where they're commercial projects. So schools and hospitals and stuff like that, where they've got cladding on the outside, down to somebody building a renovation project around their own home.
Awesome. So after Grenfell, there's been a fair amount of speculation over exterior cladding. You knew I was going to ask you this, didn't you?
Of course, it's the hot topic. If you mention cladding, everybody wants to talk about
straight away. Yeah. So what are the fire credentials of it if it's correctly installed?
We're as a technical manager for James Hardie, it's really easy for me, because all of our products comply across the whole range for James Hardie to A2, S1, D0. And what that means is basically it complies to the approved document B. This means that you can use our products regardless of the building height and regardless of the building use. So what that gives the designer, the end user, and the owner of the building that peace of mind that it complies to everything.
So in 2 years you haven't got to rip it off.
No, and that's the big concern. I mean, we you sort of look at what's going on with design and planning and things like that, and everybody's concerned about what's going on further down the line. You don't want to meet just the bare minimum at the minute. You want to meet the overall regulation, because the last thing you want to do is install the cladding and then have to do investigation work in 2 years' time or 3 years' time.
Yeah, so incur further costs down the line. You want to future-proof yourself a bit, don't you?
Future-proofing, and that's where we're that's the big benefit in the James Hardie products, in the fact that it just meets the regulations that's required. So,
and it's fair to say, it's fair to say that the rating of the cladding itself is only part of the story as far in the post-Grenfell world. It's all about the fixings, how the voids are treated, the thermal, the fire breaks, the backing board, how windows are treated. The kind of questions we get asked now in multi-storey developments in terms of how the detailing works are well, as you quite rightly said, there's quite a lot of intrusive investigation works retrospectively applied to buildings that are relatively recently completed, simply because everybody wants to be belt and braces, future-proof. And this is an insurance-driven exercise.
And that's the reason why we have things like, we have all the CAD details and different junction details and where the fire stops need to go and things like that kind of thing. So it's very much a design-led installation and product that we use.
Do you often incorporate cladding in your designs, Dan?
So yes, we do. Although bricks have been mentioned, whilst we're in this transition phase, as the inquiries into Grenfell and the regulations are being regularly updated, it's fair to say that we are under some pressure as designers to clad everything in brickwork. Because it's nobody asks questions about brickwork. Insurance companies, warranty authorities, if they see brickwork,
that's it. Yeah.
So as a sustainable model, it isn't sustainable, because there's been some well-documented exercises about the comparison of the carbon impact of a brick building as compared to, say, journeys in a petrol vehicle, and it's just incomparable. Although the brickwork is obviously has a long lifespan, its carbon footprint is massive. So we have to be looking at alternatives. And once the regulations have settled down, and cladding and more cladding manufacturers are doing what you guys are doing, which is making sure that their systems are capable of being insurance backed and installed to A1, S2,
D0.
Then it'll become more prevalent again. But it is needed. A more variety in the market is absolutely needed.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I agree with that completely. Charles, are there any restrictions on cladding with planning?
Obviously now, the health and safety executive's been brought in as a statutory consultee on certain.
Oh, you had to mention that, didn't you?
Yeah, and I'm afraid I go back to what I said at the start, that the determinant factor is the planning officer. And I don't want to look like I'm running my profession down, but I have to say that an awful lot of local authorities are now relying on young, inexperienced planning officers. And I know Dan will have some views on this, but a lot of people
None
do.
that you can broadcast.
Yeah, and Dan, these views are shared by a lot of people, and I think that's the thing. It's so very easy to. Bland is easy. What you're going to have to do is to, in the first instance, until it becomes established, actually go back to what I said. Talk. Explain.
Yeah, of course.
Explain. Make them comfortable with the person who is determining the application. Make that person comfortable with your product, your design.
We spend an awful lot of time doing this. So we will have people that will ring up, it'll be, say for instance, a planner on site or something like that, and just questioning what products are being used and what the material is and things like that kind of thing. And we always go back with all the test data and information that they need. And it is that conversation piece. It's that Peter going, right, okay, this is the documentation that we've got that proves that it meets this requirement. This is the documentation that meets this. And if you can show them that, and you can show them that you're a responsible manufacturer, that's when people start to trust it.
It puts them at ease a bit, doesn't it?
100%.
Yeah.
And it's like, any responsible manufacturer will only put forward something that is tested.
Yeah.
Tested and proved. Thank you very much.
You're happy?
Yeah.
All the boxes, yeah. So what is the strangest and most extravagant building that has been clad with Hardieplank, either in the UK or Australia?
Yeah, so we will worldwide, and for the UK, to sort of bring it home, the sort of strangest one was an observatory in Swansea. And it's an old observatory that's basically been clad around the outside, and it consisted of a restaurant underneath and then residential units at the top. Nice. It was a mixture of vertical and hit and miss cladding. So yeah, really, really beautiful looking old building that's got this modern contemporary look to it.
Sounds really good.
Yeah,
Sounds
it's lovely.
Nice. I'll have to look at that.
Yeah.
So I'm certainly looking forward to seeing more homes clad with Hardieplank. Hopefully we all are, because it's like we said, it's less beige, isn't it? Do you do beige planks?
Unfortunately, we do.
You've got to cater to the market.
It's not necessarily called beige, but there is the tone of beige. I mean, we have 21 colours of of product. The most common colours are the greys currently, because obviously everybody likes anthracite grey.
It's fashionable at the minute.
Yeah, it's
isn't it?
fashionable, but we do a whole range of colours, so you can get grey, you can get beige if you like it.
Brilliant. Well, thank you very much for coming along and giving us an insight into the world of cladding. Where can our listeners go to find out more information?
So www.jameshardy.co.uk.
Brilliant, easy as that. And big thanks to Dan and Charles as well. Where can we find out more information from you guys?
So our website is probably the best place to go, www.ricketts.co.uk. That's currently being exciting developments in that respect. So we'll be relaunching a website in a month or two, which is more reflective of the kind of work we get involved with and more up to date. So keep your eye out for it.
Brilliant. Well, thank you all very much for coming along today. Pleasure. And thank you to you, the listener, for taking a seat at the round table. We will see you next time.